So looking at where it says symbols up top, I have scientific notation up top divided by a number in scientific notation on the bottom. I divide my coefficients, and then I do what to my exponents? I subtract them, okay? So I gave you steps, and of course I gave you one where I broke it all down. So first it says, step A is we're going to divide the numbers in the front. So my numbers in the front right here are going to be 6.2 and 3.1. So I'm going to divide those two numbers. And when I divide those two numbers, no, not the color I wanted. So when I divide these two numbers, you can see that that's what it's represented as a fraction. And when I divide, I get 2.0. Okay? Then I have my base, which is 10, and I have exponents of 6 and 3. And you can see right here that I subtracted 6 and 3. Now I get 2.0 times 10 to the third. Okay? Now that big orange arrow says that this problem can be put into your calculator, but you must be very careful and pay attention to the parentheses and where your cursor is. You must be sure to move the cursor over when you are finished entering the exponent. Okay, so let's talk about, everyone grab your calculator, because this is going to be a little bit different when we do it. What you're going to do first, you could do it a couple different ways. You have to make sure that you are using parentheses. So notice that when you're looking at, so if we look at number 1, notice that none of these have parentheses. You need to be sure that when you're doing division, that you're putting the parentheses in the calculator, even if it doesn't have it. Okay? So you need to think about this problem having parentheses. Okay?
Here.
Now you could put it in your calculator as parentheses 2.1 times 10 to the 4th power. Remember, we got to press that over button so my cursor gets big again to do the closed parentheses. Divided by, and use the divided by sign, and then put the bottom one. The trickiest part is going to be to remember to move your cursor over. And what did you get? It gave you a number, but what kind of number did it give you?
Mine was a silent.
A syntax error?
Yeah.
Go back and make sure that you
Oh, I got a number.
What'd you get?
I got.
You didn't move your cursor over all the way, if I had to guess.
I got 190.990.
Right, you're right. So, we got a number that looks like 190.9090 repeating, right? But we're going to leave it like this. But that's not in scientific notation. Can someone put that into scientific notation for me? How would I put that in, if I wanted to put this number into scientific notation, what would I have to do? Right now it's in standard notation. I want scientific. Go ahead.
You would have to move it over 2 times.
Right, so I have to take this decimal and move it over. So now I get a number of 1.909 times 10 to the second. Very good. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the second one. Let's look at number 2. Again, you need to make sure that you're putting in parentheses. Okay, so you're going to put in parentheses 1.91 times 10 raised to the 8th power. Make sure you're pressing that over button so your cursor's not up there with the exponent. Divided by 2.25. So this is one way to do it. We could do it. So I'm gonna do it this way. Then I'm gonna show you one more way to do it. So we ended up getting an answer of what? What's my answer? Go ahead, Dylan.
0.000848889.
0. So 3 zeros. 8, 4. 8, 8, and I'm assuming that the 8 just going to keep repeating, and that's why there's a 9 at the end. So I'm just going to leave it off like that. Okay. But am I in scientific notation? Is this scientific notation or is this standard notation?
Standard.
Correct. This is standard notation. So if I wanted to put this into scientific notation, where does my decimal belong? Go ahead, Ash.
Before the 4.
Before the 4, very good. So I'm going to move this decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So my answer is going to be 8.4889 times 10. And what's my exponent going to be? What? Go ahead, read. Negative 4 or positive 4?
Negative. Because it's going to the right.
It's going to be negative. Why is it going to be negative? Think about money. Are we happy with that amount of money in our bank?
No.
No. Okay. Jarrell, you all right? You sure? All right. So that's one way that you can do this. You can also do it another way, where we could do, in your calculator, all you're going to do is 6.022 divided by 1.5. That's the only piece that you're going to put in your calculator. Well, not the only piece if you don't want to. And then what do we have to do? What did I say we had to do to our exponents? Add or subtract? We're doing division, so therefore we have to subtract. So when you would do 23 minus 18. Okay? So in your calculators, what is 6.022 divided by 1.5?
75,000.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Yep. All right, so what is 6.022 divided by 1.5? What did you get? All right, go ahead, Ash.
No, I did exactly like it there. I did like the 10 times 10 is 24, 18.
I need a number. What is what'd you get?
I got 3, 8, 8, 5, 6, 10.
You did it the long way.
No, No, I did it that way.
Yeah.
All I want is this part. Put in your calculator. What is 6.022 divided by 1.55? That's the piece I want. So, answer is 3 point, I'm going to round a little bit, 3.885 times 10. What's 23 minus 18? What's 23 minus 18?
5.
Very good. So 10 to the 5th. Is my answer in correct scientific notation? Do I have only one digit in front of my decimal? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. So therefore, and I have times 10 to some exponent. So therefore, we know we're in correct scientific notation and we don't need to fix it. Okay? So let's do number 4 the same way. So we're going to put this piece in our calculator. And we're going to go times, and I did it again, 10. Be careful here because we have two negatives. So it's negative 9 minus a negative 6. Okay, so you got to be careful here. What happens here when I have two negatives directly next to each other? What happens? What's my rule when I have two negatives directly next to each other? Go ahead, Lee. I make it an addition sign. Very good. So it turns into negative 9 plus 6. So what's the front half look like? What's 2.381 divided by 6.8? Go ahead.
0.350.
0.350. Okay, very good. I'm going to move up just a little bit. So I get 0.350 times 10. Negative 9 plus 6 gives me a what? Read negative 9 plus 6. Negative 3. Very good. Am I in correct scientific notation? Do I have that single digit I need sitting in front of the decimal?
No, I think you need to move it over.
I do need to move it over one. You're absolutely correct. This decimal needs to move to the right one. And it becomes 3.50 times. Since I went over 1 to the right, I need to add 1 to my exponent. Now, here comes the trick. Negative 3 plus 1. If you put your finger on negative 3 on the number line and you add 1, that means we're going to the right one. That puts me at a negative 2. So that is your final answer. I'm showing you both ways so that way you know how to do both ways. I don't care how you get the answer, but when you are... So what I want you to do is 5 and 6, I want you to take a minute to do on your own. But listen, if you put it in the calculator the way we did for numbers 1 and 2, where you're putting the entire piece of scientific notation into your calculator, we need to recognize that it's going to give us... I'm going to move over a little bit. So if we look at these two, when I put this entire thing in my calculator, right, when I put this whole division problem in my calculator as scientific notation, it spits me out an answer in standard notation, okay? So you need to be sure that if you do it this way, that you are giving me a final answer in scientific notation. Does that make sense? Are we all right? Lee, all right? All right. Now, this way, all we're putting in the calculator are my coefficients. We're dividing the coefficients and we're doing the and we're writing out the subtraction. But you need to be careful to make sure that you are giving me an answer in correct scientific notation. Like I said, this would be my B answer, this would be my A answer. Okay? B answer would be 0.350. A answer would be 3.50. Does everyone, do you see the difference? Gail, you okay? You're good? Alright, so go ahead and do 5 and 6. Take a minute, and then we'll discuss our answers, okay? So for number 5, what did we come up with? Well, give me a final answer, then we need to go through it. We will. All right, go ahead.
Wait. Since they just gave me like the 5.
So it says 5, yeah.
It said 5 times 10 to the negative 18.
All right. All right, go ahead. Give me number 6.
I got 2.746 times 10 to the negative 5.
Beautiful. All right. Lovely, lovely. What I have assigned for you is MobyMax. All right? It's one now if you haven't finished